Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Collider Games podcast. My name is Dennis Zen. I'm in here in the studio with
Tony Revis.
Yeah, and through the magic of Skype, we've got Caboose again. Caboose, how are you doing?
Doing good. Finally in the recovery stage of the mother of all flus. I'm feeling a lot better. Like all the content that's been going up on Collider Games, everything seems like I'm doing just fine. But trust me, when I stopped recording, I was dying this week. It was pretty rough, but I'm feeling a lot better. There were some pretty crazy announcements today for Mortal Kombat that I can't wait to get into. And a ton of great stuff that I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah, I'm getting, if people can hear on the podcast or on the video, I'm getting a little something here as well.
I need to be quarantined. I don't like this.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault, though, because Perry was, I think, patient zero when she came back from South by Southwest, and it started spreading, and a bunch of people got it. And it looks like I am... Luckily, it's Friday, and the weekend's coming, so yes. I will probably just rest at home. All right, let's get into some gaming news. Even though it wasn't a lot of big video game particular title focused news, we did actually have something that's relevant, and we've talked about it before, but now we have some more details in terms of what we've always been talking about, the future of gaming, and what company is going to be the Netflix of gaming. We talked about Apple wanting to start their own streaming gaming service or subscription service, Amazon, Microsoft, which we'll talk about as well, and now we have Google debuting theirs called Stadia, which a lot of people are making fun of because it sounds like a drug that you take.
Not great.
If you have hypertension or something like that.
I kept calling it Stevia all week. I was like, wait, no, that's fake sugar.
So Google shows off. They had this whole demonstration showing off their cloud gaming platform, newly named Stadia. They showed a lot of cool stuff off. They're showing hey, you can play games through the Chrome browser. Everything runs, you're playing with a Stadia controller. It's not a third-party thing. It's a first-party. Google makes it. And you can use it whether with your, let's say, Android phone or your laptop or your desktop or whatever. And I'm sure they'll probably, or through Chromecast on your TV. That was one of the cool things that they had. They also had this thing where if you are playing a game, you can almost ask it like Google Assistant in a way, hey, how do you get past this level? And then it will immediately bring up some sort of whether it's a video or maybe an article about that particular part of the game. There were some other little things here and there. What was your overall thought when you saw this announcement?
Yeah, it's it's definitely the way that the industry's trending. It's not a secret, and so finally to see it in action for the first time was very interesting. Still not being able to see too much, right? Like you said, not a lot of titles, and it's kind of just their introduction to it. In the perfect world, sounds fantastic, but we all know there's going to be issues with it. Where is our internet good enough? Sure, we have great internet, but the streaming thing is there's still going to be kinks to be worked out, especially if you're a real gamer. If there's a 5 or 6 frame latency on a button push, we're going to notice that. Some people won't, but if you're a hardcore gamer who's going to be really into this, that's something that we got to work around. And those are the things that I'm waiting to hear about before I get real excited about this. And especially with so many other companies that are going to be doing this, and Google's the first one kind of talking about it. It's I'm not really looking forward to the arms race that we're going to have. This sounds like a great thing. I'm not looking forward to maybe having to have 5 different streaming subscriptions to play the games I want to play. If this game's on Google, this game's on Apple.
We're already having that with Netflix, right? We have Amazon Prime, we have Hulu, we have Disney Plus coming out.
Right, so many.
There's so many small ones as well.
If I want to play this game, I got to get Google. If I want to play another game, I got to get Apple. If I want to play this game, I got to get Amazon. It's
yes.
It's intimidating.
Yeah. Caboose, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Tony. The big factor is, that input delay, how much it's going to be there, and you know what, Dennis, you called this. Like you said that this was going to be something to expect to come for the future of gaming, and well, yeah, looks like it's coming a lot sooner than we had expected. So it's really interesting. I'm very intrigued to learn more. We're going to find out more later this year, but just on the face value, it sounds cool. It's a great concept, but in terms of playing any game remotely competitively, I don't think this is going to be something that anyone would want to touch. If you want to play something like a fighting game and you want to maybe get good at it, you don't want to be playing any sort of game, or you don't want to be playing any fighting game where there is that input delay. Even if it's very minimal, you don't want to play it with an input delay. If you're playing like an FPS, you don't want that input delay. So we'll see when we learn a little bit more, but this is an interesting stepping stone. This is a cool start for what could be a very intriguing future for gaming as a streaming service or a streaming platform. I love the idea of the fact that I pretty much can buy a game and get to playing it immediately. That is cool as hell. The controller looks great. The different options for content creators can be hit or miss. I'd like to learn a little more and get a bit more of an understanding of it, but based on what they showed, it's cool that people can kind of queue up to join a content creator's game or something through Stadia, but at the same time, does that mean you can lose a viewer if they're joining up and trying to play in your game? So, I don't know. There's some pros, there's some cons. I want to learn more, but if I were to just give my base reaction, this sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you mentioned the internet stuff. That's a big part of it. They're saying it needs a minimum of 25 megabits per second.
Right.
Which, they were touting like, hey, right now in the U.S., the average is actually 96, so that's not an issue. But it is an issue in some more rural areas that don't have that speed. I mean, remember, the U.S. is a very large country compared to something like Japan or Korea, where their internet is much better because the infrastructure is much easier to get faster internet. The Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they were demoing that. That's something they actually were demoing at the end of last year. Where that one, like, okay, you're playing that one, like you mentioned, Caboose, like, okay, you're playing that. The input lag may be a little bothersome, but because it's not a competitive game, it's not going to you're not going to be bothered as much because it's not like you mentioned, like FPS, like Apex Legends. You're playing Apex Legends or you're playing Mortal Kombat 11 and you're playing competitively and things aren't working out or there's a slight delay or buffer. You're going to be pissed.
Right.
You're going to be upset.
100%.
It might work out in my favor. I can use it as an excuse for why I'm doing so bad. It's this damn lag. I can't.
Exactly. I died. You guys, you don't know what happened to my internet.
Yeah, I gotta get higher speeds.
Yeah, but that's the thing is with something like you're talking about Netflix and any other of the streaming video services, lag is definitely irritating, but it's not as troublesome, right? Because like if it pauses a little, that kind of ruins whatever scene that is a little bit. But
you just hit pause, go to the bathroom, come back, and it's loaded.
It doesn't happen that often, and when it does happen, it's like okay. Where in a gaming, especially competitive gaming, like that is a big issue. Google's claiming Stadia is more powerful than PS4 and Xbox One combined.
Yeah.
Which, it kind of makes sense. I mean, one, those consoles, I mean, Xbox One X is a newer one, but still it's based on that technology that they were working on like many, many years ago, where, when you're doing cloud computing, you're doing it all on servers and more
data
powerful,
centers,
powerful computers elsewhere, and then just streaming the actual video there. So sure, I don't think that's the big issue, right? Like it doesn't matter if any of these streaming services can be like, hey, we're more powerful than X console. That's not what it is. It's the games, right?
Right.
People want to play the games and play them without any problems. Now, Doom was also something that they were talking about, saying like, hey, we can get like 4K, 60 FPS, through Stadia. now, can you get that consistently? That's I think the bigger issue. But I still do say this is the future of gaming, but it's just going to have those bumps in the road that who knows how. Because always when they do these demos or people are playing stuff, they're in more optimum situations, right? Where maybe there are people who are borderline. Maybe they've got 30 megabits a second.
Yeah, like here's the thing is like the idea of this being able to like, oh, I could be on a bus playing this game on my phone, get home, switch it to my TV, continue playing. That's great.
Yes.
Am I going to be able to play this on the bus? You know what I mean? Like if that's the driving selling point of this, like, oh, play your games anywhere and do all this thing. But it's like, can I do that? Will it work enough for me to be able to do that? It sounds great.
That's the idea.
But
that's the idea, and
sometimes I can't even send a text message on a bus. You know what I mean?
Or like a picture or whatever. Right? So it is a little rough. This is something, obviously we'll keep our eyes on. I know that Microsoft, they did a little. There was a little piece on Inside Xbox about a little demo of it. I forgot the names of the guy, but the host was talking to this girl, and she started playing a demo of xCloud on an Xbox controller with a cell phone on there. And so I don't know if she's using the Wi-Fi in there or actually using a real cell phone service for that. Yeah. But they were saying you can play it here and then later pick it up back at home. Which I think for adventure games or action games, story-based games, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's less okay, if there is an internet issue or streaming issue, you're fine. Okay, save your spot and just wait till you get either better or whatever. But competitive, that's
out the door.
That's another thing. So this does look promising. You guys have any other thoughts about this?
I'm just excited to see where it goes. And again, the big thing for me is if we're going to have so many of these companies doing this.
But eventually,
we'll see.
Someone's going to have to shut down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's same with these streaming services right now. There's no way that all of them are going to survive, right? Right now we have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus is coming soon.
Does anyone watch Amazon Prime?
I watch certain shows on Amazon Prime.
I feel like they make a lot of shows and they've put a lot of money into shows that are just
Hulu does the same thing. That's the thing. Hulu puts a lot of money in a lot of shows that only the cream of the crop people are watching.
Right.
Amazon Prime is the same. People are watching Homecoming and Marvelous Miss Maisel, maybe Jack Ryan, but then a lot of the other stuff that they're making. Netflix does the same thing, but because they make so many more, they get a lot more attention.
Right.
And plus they have more money, and they've the Triple Frontier movie just came out that has Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac.
I love that movie, by the way.
Oh, you did? I haven't seen it yet. It's good?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I thought it was great. Yeah. The whole cast works really well together. Ben Affleck is surprisingly really, really good in it.
Yeah. So, eventually that whole thing, but the gaming thing will be the same thing, right? We're gonna have those 5 big boys, and it's gonna will down to 2 or 3.
Yeah,
because they can't sustain the money that's gonna cost them.
It's interesting to see with Microsoft too, having their foot in the gaming door for years now.
Yeah.
These other Amazon and Apple, what do they know about gaming? And so it's going to be interesting to see what they can bring compared to a Microsoft, where it's we've been doing this and we've been moving forward. So,
and Sony has their own as well. So you would think, Microsoft and Sony have the leg up, but you know what? That's not always the case. I mean, generation to generation, we're talking about Sony versus Microsoft. Back in the day, it was Nintendo versus Sega. Right. So, things changed from generation to generation. Xbox 360 was the winner in that generation, and then now PS4 is the winner in this generation.
Goes back and forth.
So who knows? And everyone wants a piece of that pie because that's something that you're getting constantly paid off of, a subscription model. And then after you set up the infrastructure and you lure the developers over to put their games on your platform, then the money just starts churning.
Right. I'll just say this for gamers it's nothing but good news because competition's always going to breed, big things and people wanting
product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for us, it's just fantastic. Yeah. Like great,
How much do you think a service like this is going to cost?
I've been racking my brain over that for so long. I don't know. It can't be too much.
This is going to be pricier than people think. I'd say at least. First of all, it's come from Google. It's like the #1 brand in the world, pretty much. And this is video games. This is not like movies where you can get the price of admission for what, $15, $20. This is games coming for $60 to $100 per game. So I guess it really depends.
So maybe, whole month's worth
the service.
I think it's going to be like something like $24.99.
That's what I was thinking, somewhere around there. Because
do you think maybe the service is just kind of like a Steam or like an Epic Game Store where it's just available there and then buy the game and the piece of that pie goes to Google?
They could, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Because I know there was something a few weeks ago talking about how this might work for developers and the price, like how developers get paid. And there was people being concerned, especially indie developers being concerned that if this is the way it goes and it is straight subscription where you're not really purchasing the games, it's just subscription, where it's like maybe like a per hour, like that someone plays your game, that's what you're getting paid. So then it's like these indie developers,
like Spotify.
and these indie developers are like, well, if I make a 4-hour game, that's incredible, but you're only playing it for 4 hours, and you can play Assassin's Creed Odyssey for 100 hours.
Yeah,
and that sucks for these indie developers,
Yeah.
I played Celeste for 5 hours, but it's like one of my favorite games.
Yeah. That's the thing.
But Red Dead, I played for 80.
Yeah. So I'm sure
that's a really interesting point. Yep.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe they'll start off with the Steam model where you buy a game and then you can access it anytime, and then they
could have tiers.
Because remember that right now the Xbox Gamer Pass is basically, it's not live streaming these games, but you are paying a certain amount of money, which is actually not that I think it's like $10 a month.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
And then you get access to the older library of games.
Right.
But it's unlimited. It's not like you can,
which is great because you're losing money. Like that's why I think about why does Nintendo not do that with their immense backlog library? Like you're just losing money by just not having me be able to play a Super Nintendo game on my Switch.
I personally don't have Gamer Pass, but that's just because I don't have enough time. But if I had time, I would definitely have Gamer Pass. Playing that. All right, let's move on. This is a story, non-story. It was earlier this week was reported that Disney was reviving Lucasfilm Games. I guess there was like some job postings posted somewhere, and so people were thinking, okay, is this like the new version of LucasArts? But apparently Disney has come out and said, no, Lucasfilm Games has always been around, and that it's not a new division, and they're still fully on EA, and that the Lucasfilm Games is actually just like people who are in charge of helping like monitor kind of with the third party. So they're working in coordination with people like EA. So it's not like LucasArts, because right now a lot of people are unhappy with what EA is doing with the Star Wars brand, and they seem to be the sole they're the sole kind of
hearing this
publisher.
News was like, oh my god, like is this what we need right now?
Right.
But then unfortunately, so Jason Schreier over at Kotaku comes out and he shuts it down immediately. He says this is quite literally fake news. Lucasfilm Games is the team at Lucasfilm that's been working with EA on Star Wars games for years now. LucasArts ain't back, guys. So completely shut down this rumor. Unfortunately, doesn't look like it's what fans were hoping for, but maybe because of kind of the reaction to the initial rumor, it could send a good message to EA. It could send a message to Lucasfilm to be like, hey, this is what the fans want right now. So this could be a Deadpool situation, where a leak comes out and fans go crazy about it, and then Fox is like, all right, fine, we'll make the movie. Maybe something similar like that could be translated here with these Star Wars games.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the fans want one thing, but obviously business trumps that as well. I think this might be a make or break year though, because
there's a lot riding on Fallen Order.
Yes.
Yeah, Fallen Order, and then you also in the VR space you have Vader Immortal. So those are 2 Star Wars games coming out this year that people will really like. Okay, maybe there's some sort of saving this, but if those 2 don't do well or aren't well received. People are already crying about Battlefront 2. I mean, I'll admit, I played Battlefront 2. I enjoyed my time. I didn't go online and play a lot, but I was just playing the single player, and I had fun with it. So, So we'll see what happens there. All right, next topic, just a bunch of updates. Caboose, why don't you update us on like what's going on with Apex Legends and the new Legend Battle Pass, Division 2. You just put up your Division 2 review. Yes. Give your thoughts on that. And there was an MK11 announcement today as well.
Yeah, okay, so let's start off with Apex. So we had the official launch of Season 1. The Battle Pass came out, as well as a brand new Legend in Octane. First off, the new Legend is great. Octane is a ton of fun to play as. He looks super cool. It's funny because the origin of the character, it actually comes from speedrunners who played Titanfall 2. So in Titanfall 2, there was this thing called the Gauntlet, where you had to like speedrun a course and get to the finish line in a certain amount of time. And a ton of people try to break the world record constantly. And one of the strategies that everyone would always do is they would throw a grenade at their feet, because the grenade gives you this initial boost to start the run. So the origin of Octane is he blew his legs off in a run during the Gauntlet from Titanfall. So I love that. Cool little Easter egg for fans of Titanfall, for speedrunners of Titanfall. But yeah, he's a ton of fun. He's a super fast character. He injects himself with a stim that like takes a chunk of his health, but also makes him like 30% faster, which is awesome. You can be traversing around the map really quickly with the character. And at first, in the initial video that I put up on Collider Games, I was like, I don't know if this is going to take me away from Wraith. Wraith is still my girl. I love playing her so much. But I jumped back in and I played some more games with Octane. And he might be my new main. He might be my new main Legend. I am having so much fun with him. The different kind of things that you can do, the different strats that you can engage in when you're in these gunfights using his different abilities strategically can be a ton of fun to work around with. And I'm really loving Octane. I'm digging it. So if Respawn continues this trend with the other Legends that they got planned for these next couple of months throughout the year, then I can't wait to see what they got in store, because Octane was a great start for a brand new Legend being added into the game. The only unfortunate thing, of course, is if you're searching solo, if you're not playing with a dedicated squad, be prepared for people to leave the game if you end up getting the one who picks first and picks Octane. Because a lot of people want Octane, so they leave the game if they don't end up getting that pick. But yes, the Battle Pass, I will say though, unfortunately, really underwhelming. Not a lot of good content in there, nothing special, nothing that's going to blow you away. Usually with Fortnite's Battle Passes, they've always got a couple cool legendary skins. There's always something where it's like, you know what? Okay, that was worth the $15. Honestly, if you're asking me, not a single thing in the Battle Pass for Apex Legends is worth the price. It's if you want to support the game because you love playing the game, maybe then you can spend the $15. But outside of that, the actual rewards that you get, nothing is worth it. You don't get a legendary skin. You get a legendary weapon skin for the Havoc rifle, which is not a very good gun, so that's useless. And then there's just like a ton of voice dialogues, little player banners. So I'm very disappointed because I was expecting, Apex Legends, they're riding this high. There's this massive wave, a ton of new players coming in. This Battle Pass launches, and if they had a ton of great content, then that wave just turns into a tsunami. It gets even bigger, which is essentially what happened to Fortnite back in the day. So that didn't happen. Very unfortunate. I hope Respawn has taken kind of the criticism that people have rightfully provided and, not just saying this sucks. People have been very constructive with the criticism that they provided, and hope that they take that to heart and work on the next season battle pass to make it a little more worthwhile, a little more worth the price of paying the $10, $15 to buy it. Then moving on from that, played the Division 2, actually really pleasantly surprised from it. When I played the beta, there was a lot of things that I was worried about. Most of the things that I was worried about ended up being a problem with the game. Story is lackluster. You're a mute character, which I hate in video games. I am so sick of it. Please let that be a thing of the past going forward here. And playing on your own in the Division 2 sucks. It's rough. You have to be playing with friends, and it's not just because there's nothing to do. It's because the game's so difficult. And don't get me wrong, love a challenge, but I do not want a frustrating challenge. You know, I want to at least breathe when there's 10 guys shooting at me. I want to know that, okay, if I'm smart enough, I can get out of this. But there are times where it's just way too difficult. But if you're playing with friends, oh my goodness, the Division 2 can be so much fun to play. Big open world, tons of things to do. Inventory system is so perfectly put together, so well organized. The loot is awesome. Customization is okay. And overall, when you're playing with friends, Dennis, I don't know if you plan to pick up Division 2, we could have hours of entertainment there. That game can be a lot of fun to play with your friends. So pleasantly surprised with the Division 2. Still needs some work, though, post-launch, and I'm sure that they're going to get to work on that. And then last up, Mortal Kombat 11. We had 2 new reveals today. Noob Saibot is joining the roster of the game, returning from MK9. Looks incredible. Best character they've shown so far. Grossest fatality they've shown so far. And then they also announced that Shang Tsung is going to be the first official DLC character for MK11. And not only that, he's going to be played by the original actor from the Mortal Kombat movie. Kerry Tagawa, I believe, is the name. And he does the facial animation.
Yeah, I mean, it looks just like him.
Yeah, it is so awesome. Cool. I love that they did that. It's nice incredible. Little callback. I'm a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat movie. Big guilty pleasure for me. Oh, Your Soul Is Mine is iconic.
The best.
So I'm so glad to see him back in that role.
The most important question for the Apex Legends is, you said you're having a lot of fun with Octane. The more important question is your kill-death ratio higher with him, and your winning percentage?
Can I get my first kill?
Yeah, like has that improved at all, or is it about the same
for me? Or are you saying like
you
would it
for
you
for you?
For me, I mean, yeah, I think I've done pretty good with him so far. Not
better than when with
Wraith.
Okay,
but I still need to play a little more with him. I've had a couple wins with him already. Had a good amount of kills, good games with him, but he's just like I can't stop playing him. I don't know what it is. There's games where I was like, you know, I'll play as Wraith this game, and then I come to the character selection and I'm like, nah, I'll just play Octane. You know, so I've been loving him.
Yeah, Division 2, it's weird because it sounds like they didn't really scale the game depending on how many people are there, which is weird because, like, okay, if you play, I remember the first Halo, right?
Yeah.
If you play solo, it's difficult, but they have a set amount of enemies. If you play co-op, then they throw more enemies at you, and then that makes it more difficult, and therefore that's why you have the co-op for. Where it sounds like they have it kind of set right for co-op, and then they just, if you're a single player, oh well.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That is the biggest problem right now, and you're bang on about that, where playing solo versus playing with friends, it's like there's the same amount of enemies. It doesn't feel like it's upscaled when you're playing with more people. So because of that, it's like you're playing against a group of enemies as if you're with a 4-squad team, you know? So or like a 4-player team. So yeah, that's the biggest problem with it right now. Although that luckily is something that can be fixed. I'm sure if enough people are complaining about it, if enough people have a problem with it, that's something that they can tone down. They can turn down the AI difficulty. So it's a big complaint for me right now. But I'm sure that if enough people aren't happy with it, they can fix that, which is a great thing.
Have you picked up Division 2 yet, or are you gonna?
No, and I was on the fence about it, and because again, what Caboose said is right, and what I was feeling is like I'm not going to play this game by myself. I know that. Yeah. So if my whole squad's not picking it up, then I'm not picking it up. And I had my friends play the beta, and they're like, yeah, super into it. And I was like, I think I'm going to get it. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll get it. They're like, nah, you're not going to like it. I was like, oh, well, what do you mean I'm not going to like it? They're like, it's just because I'm not super big into like level progression and that kind of stuff that's like really important in this. Like I'm not addicted to it.
So you're not like a big looter shooter fan?
No, not really. Like, you know, and the friends that I play with, like they want to max out their everything, and I'm just kind of like, nah, I just, you know, I'll get as good as I can. But
I'm like that with action RPG stuff, where it's like a story-based thing where, yes, I want to get my character and my weapons all, but for some reason when I play like FPS or let's say a third-person shooter, I do want those things, but I'm not because I'm not invested into the story, so I'm not.
It just seems overwhelming to me.
Yeah,
I'm in the middle where like it depends on the shooter looter. So for instance, like Anthem just couldn't grip me enough to be like, I need all the best gear in this game. But when I play a game like Borderlands or Division 1 at launch, or even games like Destiny, I grind them out until I know this is the best my character possibly can be at this moment in time. You know, until a future update comes, my character is the best of the best with all the greatest gear that I could get every single week on the weekly reset. I don't need anything anymore. You know, I love grinding for that. It just depends on the shooter looter. So a game like Anthem didn't do that for me, but games like Borderlands, Destiny, The Division 1 did do that for me.
Cool.
And I think Division 2 is going to join that.
All right. You have anything else about any of those topics?
I'm super excited about Mortal Kombat and Noob Saibot being back. That's awesome. Shang Tsung, incredible. Like we talked about that last time I was here. We were like, oh, what if this happens? And here it is. Yeah. So it's incredible.
Yeah.
Quick note, this isn't a big story. There's just they had the game sales report for February. Anthem, no surprise, was the #1 game, despite, you know, disappointing launch and whatnot. I mean, they didn't release the numbers, so we don't know like on what level. Obviously, it was #1, but we don't know how big of a success or disappointment it was from a sales perspective. #2 was Jump Force. 3 was Kingdom Hearts 3. Far Cry New Dawn was 4. Red Dead Redemption 2 was 5. Resident Evil 2 Resident Evil 2 the remake was 6. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate #7. 8 Metro Exodus. 9 NBA 2K19. #10 Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So
that's nuts that Red Dead is still cracking top 5 on best-selling games in 2019. The game came out like 4 or 5 months ago.
Right.
That's pretty crazy if you ask me. Anthem being #1, so we don't know the exact sales numbers, but to my understanding, they actually sold a lot better than people think. It wasn't entirely a failure like people were saying it was, which I find to be intriguing.
I mean, they advertised a lot. I mean,
for sure.
I saw Anthem posters around just like it was a movie, like around town here. Like I was like, hey, that's Anthem. And then, you know, and then they had that Neon Blomkamp short film, which was very cool.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
So you know, I mean, like I mentioned before, the game's, I guess, community is much more deeper in knowledge about stuff. There's casual gamers, right? But there's less so than like movies, right? Movies, like there's a ton of casual moviegoers,
right?
And then there's the hardcore film guys, where games is much more, more hardcore gamers.
Yeah, that pie chart is opposite.
Yeah, exactly. But there are still casual gamers, and so maybe they made up the rest of those Anthem sales.
Yeah. So. I was more shocked that Jump Force beat Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, well,
Even though Kingdom Hearts came in just in January, but that was shocking to me a little bit.
It's a fighting game, so I know like that's a lot more of an easy pickup for the casual audience, because it's like, oh, it's a fighting game. Let's pick it up, have some fun, mess around with a bunch of friends, stuff like that. So
that's hitting a lot of bullet points. That's hitting anime fans too, and fighting game fans. So it's a bigger target.
Speaking of selling games, Xbox One has some game deals going on right now. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but I'll point out, Red Dead Redemption 2 is on sale for $40.19. The special editions, I think it's like $52 for special edition. Ultimate edition is $60. You know, it's $40 still good. I think it was like $39.99 the other week. I mean, it's 20 cents more, big deal. Yeah. Definitely worth getting if you haven't gotten it yet. Soul Calibur, what is this? 6. It's $30. Deluxe edition $45. Tekken 7, $25. Rematch edition $40. Ultimate edition $50. Now, this is the one I am interested in getting, which is The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Because I've played it, but I only played the beginning part of it, and then because it was a friend's copy, and then he took it away, and so I didn't. So, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, $12. The complete edition, $15. So I'm gonna order the complete edition. So
that's got some good DLC.
Those are some good prices. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can get some. That's the one thing, you know, not having that much time to play games like I used to. Like I'll like be able to get games I wanted for much cheaper because it's
because they end up on your backlog.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get them months later.
Exactly.
There's just, man, what a great time to be a gamer. There's so many good games. And it's tough when like a game will come out and the reviews will come out and it's like, oh, this game's a 7.5. That's a good game. Yeah. But I'm like, do I have time to play a 7.5? You know, which is crazy. And then there's like surprise games like Metro Exodus, like not really on my radar at all. But then it gets like a 9, a 9.5 review. I'm like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to this game. You know, there's just so many good games.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, Metro Exodus. Don't think that one was on. I think it was on sale like a few weeks ago.
That's really new, so I don't think it's going to go on sale just yet. But these are some great prices. Yeah, The Witcher 3.
If you haven't played The Witcher,
that low, that's worth every penny.
Definitely gonna pick that up. All right, before we get into Twitter questions, I want to mention an event I went to. Have you guys heard of Ingress?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I don't believe so, no.
So Ingress, I've heard of it. It came out a while ago, a long time ago, and it's this mobile game that's a AR game where they use your GPS to play it. And
wow.
I never played it, but it's from this company Niantic.
And they made Pokemon Go, right?
Yes, that's the thing, is they used that technology from Ingress to make Pokemon Go.
Cool.
So anyways, there's a game that I had heard about. I never played it. I had some friends that play it, and they were addicted to it. You know, basically you kind of go around. It's weird. You go around wherever you are. Like right now, if I turn it on, because I played it, you know, actually after I went to this event just to see what it was about. It's kind of cool. You walk around just like Pokemon. And I'm not a Pokemon guy. I've mentioned this many times on this podcast. My eyes glaze over anytime like Dorian talks about it and Caboose talks about it. No clue what they're talking about. But I guess this would be my Pokemon Go, because it's like you kind of go around and there's like these portals and it's like there's a resistance and then lightened and you're like battling between real people, right?
Oh, wow.
But like you're not like fighting them, but like there's like these portals that you hack. It's a fun mobile AR game, right? It's played by it's like downloaded over 10 million downloads, and tons of people play it.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, people start getting, and I'm sure Pokemon Go was like this too, where you're involved with the game, you're walking around and you forget that you are in real life and that, you know, there's cars trying to like go somewhere and all that stuff.
Dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, this event was to promote this anime, which actually is coming to Netflix sometime soon. They told us the release date, but I don't think we're allowed to talk about the release date. But it actually had already come out in Japan. It's a Japanese anime about using Ingress, the mobile game, in the kind of basis of their story. Whoa. And so it already came out in Japan, I think, the end of last year, and they're bringing it over to Netflix soon. So they showed us the pilot episode. I mean, I'll be honest with you, with the pilot episode, I'm still reserving my judgment because I didn't really know much about the property until I saw the pilot, and then there is much like a lot of Japanese anime, it's very convoluted, right? They try to make a very complicated story, and this is no different. So it's one of those things where you kind of they start off and there's like you don't know what's going on, and you're trying to piece it together. So, and since we only watched the first episode, which was I think 30 minutes, I don't know how it progresses. So,
okay,
for me, it's like, okay, let me watch more of this and see how it goes. So, excuse me. So, yeah, they have characters that aren't. Sorry. Oh my god.
Bless.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna post this podcast and then go home.
Uh-oh. Did I pass over the flu just over the mic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
God,
yeah.
What did
I get myself into?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
But anyways, this anime is something that's coming soon. I'm gonna keep my eye on it, and especially with now playing the game and seeing how cool that one is.
So is the anime like? So it's an extension of the game, like in the game, they got their own storyline or whatever. Kind of built in, and the anime is like about that. It's not about playing the game. It's like what? It's like what the game is.
Yes. Cool. It's very complicated. That's what I'm saying. It's very like. There's this stuff called XM that you're supposed to like gather, and then there's these portals, and there's two different, basically different factions, enlightened and resistant. So in the anime, they create a story of characters that fit within the world of the game, so they can kind of, if they wanted to, they could. I don't know how the season ends, but if they really want to, let's say that it's a complete story there, they can just be like pick up and go. Well, that's the story in this area, which I think it was set in Japan. They can be like, all right, here's the story from the U.S. and here's these really characters, and with the same premise of everything that's going on.
That's really interesting, and I love stuff like that, especially like with story ties. And like if I watch this anime and I think it's awesome, being able to play the game and feel like you're a part of it is really cool.
Yeah. So they also had like a board game that was also AR based. It was a prototype. It's like like one of those tabletop games, but with the cards, you actually use your phone to like look at information and whatnot.
That's cool.
So, all right. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, let's move on to Twitter questions.
What up, Twitter?
You guys ready? Let's start off with @BladeGTR. He asks, "What are your top 3 video game soundtracks?"
Oh my god.
I can think of 2 right off the bat. One's easy because it just came out, which is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
Okay.
That score is fantastic.
Are they? Yeah. Is the album out yet? Because I know they're releasing the soundtrack. Like,
I don't know. I've been listening to it on YouTube. So on YouTube they have like the whole thing in like an hour video format.
Yeah.
So
now we're talking about like soundtrack or like score or basically the same thing.
I think both. I mean when it comes to games, it's
it's a fine line.
Yeah, I think in movies it's a lot more distinct. Where I think in video games it's pretty this closest. So I would say Red Dead Redemption 2, Halo score is up there for me. I'm trying to think of
this is a tough one for me now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the third one.
I remember playing Halo 2. And that near the end, when Breaking Benjamin comes on at the end of Halo 2, and I like grabbed an energy sword, and I was like, I am alive. It was so great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Either one of you want to go first? Or second, I guess.
I'll say my favorite video game soundtrack of all time is probably Donkey Kong Country.
Okay.
2.
Okay.
Maybe. Oh, it's so tough.
That's a different one.
That's a good one. Undertale had a great soundtrack because it's very unique, and it's like fits in that world so well.
Yeah.
For it to be kind of chiptune and kind of 8-bit and just like memorable music.
Mass Effect will be my third.
Okay.
So I got Red Dead Redemption 2, Halo, and then.
What a tough question, Blade. Tough. Yeah. What about you, Caboose? I got to think of a third.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say scores.
Okay.
For me, Halo's there.
Yeah.
150%. And then it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. Okay, Halo for sure. The Batman Arkham games, love the score coming from that franchise. It's so good, so Batman. And then it's hard because I want to say things like Spider-Man, because I actually really loved the score for Spider-Man PS4. Great. I want to say things like The Last of Us, because it is this beautiful, somber score that you get out of those games. I want to say, I don't know, there's so many different choices. So if I really had to narrow it down, I think for sure Batman Arkham franchise, and then Halo, easily within that number 1, number 2. And then I think number 3, I maybe would go Last of Us, because I really love the way that the score is in The Last of Us. But Red Dead's is so good as well. Yes. There's some great video game scores out there. So that's a tough question, but a really good one.
Yeah. And it's hard for me not to mention Zelda. We got to be Zelda in there too.
Yeah. Old school for me, Streets of Rage.
Oh, yeah.
Had a good one.
Mega Man 2 had some classics. Yeah. That Dr. Wily stage. It's like a ringtone for me.
Even Devil May Cry 5 has a pretty cool soundtrack as well. Totally fits the tone of that game.
Right.
Yeah. Woody Jackson is the composer for Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah. And Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore is for Halo.
And seeing the at the Game Awards this year and seeing the Red Dead Redemption 2 performance was just like beautiful. Incredible. Yep. Oh man, so good.
All right. At Infinite Query, first name is Agent, asks, with Apex Legends being so huge now, I'm wondering how much resources Respawn and EA is going to put into the Fallen Order Star Wars game. Do you think Fallen Order could end up being a lackluster game because their focus will be on the money printing machine that is Apex Legends?
Absolutely not. Yeah. I think almost the opposite, because Apex Legends has turned into such a massive hit and has been printing money. I'd hope at least that it means that a game like Jedi Fallen Order ends up being 10 times better than it initially was planned to be from Respawn. My only hope as well is that, they don't let the success of Apex Legends hinder the development of that game. I hope that they're still working on that game and they're still putting in time and effort to potentially, I don't think it's going to reach this year as a release date. I have a feeling it might end up getting delayed. And in fact, I kind of hope it gets delayed simply because maybe they're like, oh, we just made a ton of money off of Apex. Maybe we can just sit on this for a little bit and actually develop it a little more.
Yeah.
Because I think that they can really churn out a great game with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, especially after the success of Apex. So to that question, I think if you're asking me, it means nothing but good things for the Star Wars game. But I can see why some people might be a little scared.
Yeah, that's a great question, but they can't afford to not put everything into Fallen Order. There's so much riding on it because just of the past few years and the Star Wars games we've gotten and the response and they need to knock it out of the park. They have to. I think they know that, and they can't swing and a miss. And no matter how good Apex Legends is doing, and as we've seen with the Fortnite kind of model and how it's just going to games as a service will continue to be a thing. It's not going anywhere, but Fallen Order needs to be a hit, I think. It really needs to be.
Yeah, I'm going with you guys. I think because Apex Legends is a hit, they will be able to funnel more development money into Fallen Order because they need it, because they are taking a hit publicly from the fans about Star Wars stuff.
Star Wars is tough.
And they want to lose the license,
Yeah, and Star Wars is tough. Yeah. That's always in every medium. Yeah. Anything Star Wars, it's always going to be a little tough. So you got to take your time with it. So if they do end up delaying, I'm with Caboose. Take your time with it. Make it right. Make it right.
At the 27 Poker asks, are Firestorm Battlefield 5 Battle Royale mode and Apex the new PUBG and Fortnite?
Ooh. No,
because
are people playing Battlefield 5 still?
I mean, that's the thing is like,
why was that not at launch?
Apex is definitely the new Fortnite.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Fortnite's still the new Fortnite.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like, it's the big new battle royale where like I don't see Firestorm even, at least from my knowledge, I don't think it's gotten as big as PUBG in that realm. I mean,
because the problem with Firestorm is it's only going to be as big as many people own Battlefield 5.
Right.
And even more so as many people that are still playing Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's plenty of people who bought it at launch who are just letting it collect dust now. Or letting it virtually collect dust if you got it digitally. I don't know. But the point is, it's going to be hard for Firestorm to really pick up some steam as a battle royale when Battlefield 5 just didn't really have the biggest launch. Not a ton of people bought the game, and it's not because it's bad or anything. It seems like it's a fun game.
Bad timing. I mean, it came out like Call of Duty time, Blackout time, Red Dead Redemption, Fallout 76, even though it was disappointing.
It was the wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. Honestly, it might have even been smart for them to release the game now, considering they have Firestorm coming out, so then they can have this Battle Royale launch with the game. But, that's neither here nor there, and we'll see. I mean, like I said, Firestorm looks like fun, and I'd be intrigued. There are some sales out there for Battlefield 5. Maybe I can go pick it up. Maybe I'll give it a try. I'd be intrigued to try it out because some of the gameplay that I've seen online, it looks like fun, but no way is it of the size of anything like a Fortnite, an Apex Legends, or even a PUBG, if you're asking me.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. Like, I'm not typically into these battle royales, and Apex pulled me in. And I'm not going to go buy Battlefield 5 for that. Like, Apex, it was free, and I was like, I'll give it a shot, because everyone's loving it, and, I loved it. I'm not going to buy a game to see if I like it. That's the tough thing with what Battlefield 5's got, that uphill battle they have against these other battle royales.
All right, last question we have at Mung B. Favorite open world to explore in a game and why? Mine is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The environment and the graphics of the game had a real Princess Mononoke Studio Ghibli film aesthetic to it that I loved. Mine is going to be Fallout 3. It's not as much as I loved Red Dead Redemption 2. I actually didn't do that much exploring. I was playing mainly main missions, some few side missions, but I was not running around doing XYZ, you know what I mean? I didn't go around hunting a lot. I didn't go around, collecting. I did collect some, debts or whatever, but I just didn't explore the world that maybe I should have. I just, the game was already 60 plus hours to it. With Fallout 3, I just loved going around, and the cool thing about Fallout 3 is you don't have a map. The map opens up to you and you just stumble across random stuff. And then you find out who's living in this random area and what their story is and why are they there and what their purpose is, and you kind of get sucked into their little world, and that's their little world there, and they exist in that, the whole game in that world, but at the same time they have their own things going on, so it kind of makes you feel like it's you're in a real breathing kind of system, I guess, in that regards. What about you guys?
For me, I would say Spider-Man PS4. It's not super huge of an open world, but just being able to swing around New York was amazing. And it was cool because I used to live in New York for a little bit. So it was cool for me. If I had to go, if I was in the financial district and I'm like, I got to go to Harlem, I know how to get there. Without looking at the map, which was cool. I was like, all right, I just got to go north. And then I'm I'm on the east side. I got to go to Hell's Kitchen. I'm going to go, southwest. And it's so that was fun. And it was pretty true to New York. It's very scaled down, but it's true. And I even you could do photo mode. I used to live on 70th and Broadway, and they don't have that corner in the game, but they have 71st. So I took a picture, selfie mode, on that corner because I'm like, that was my stomping grounds. So that was just super fun. And it was the first game, because I was like with you with Red Dead, the story got me so much, but it was like so much of a grind already. I didn't want to do much of the side stuff. Like Spider-Man, I did everything. I wanted to do everything, and I did it in like 3 days. I just couldn't, and just swinging around the city was fun without an objective. Was super fun. So for me, that was a great experience to be able to.
I agree. I agree with Tony. Spider-Man is a great one as well. And not even just, I'm sure for you living in New York, that must be a whole different experience.
Yeah, it was great.
But for me as a Marvel fan, being able to explore the city of New York, finding things like Nelson and Murdoch's law firm, the Avengers Tower, Sanctum Sanctorum, all those cool little Marvel Easter eggs that they placed around New York City to feel not just like New York City, but Marvel's New York. So I thought that was great. Red Dead 2, though, takes the cake easily.
Yeah, because you did the exploring. You did everything on that.
I explored the hell out of Red Dead's open world. All the different biomes, the snowy areas, the swampy areas, the more urban areas, everything. Every inch of that game's open world is so incredibly detailed. There is not a single misfire in every corner of that map. It is so perfect, and it was incredible just to explore it, doing the hunting, the random encounters, the stranger missions, all that stuff. I had so much fun with. So Red Dead, for sure, the best open world for me to explore. But Spider-Man's great. The Batman games are great as well. Same